quiet border town of Val Verde, Texas, Elena Ramirez has lived a peaceful life for the past 8 years. A humble farmer, a devoted single mom, just another face in the crowd. But behind that calm exterior is a secret no one in town suspects. Elena Ramirez used to be Catherine Walsh, the CIA's most feared black ops operative, with a record of missions so classified they don't officially exist. At midnight, that quiet is shattered. Cartel Imperio, armed to the teeth, surrounds her remote farmhouse. They think she's just another civilian to intimidate, another name to cross off. What they're really after is a flash drive hidden somewhere on the property. A drive containing evidence that could dismantle their empire and expose high-level corruption within American law enforcement. But the cartel has no idea who they're dealing with. Because the woman inside that house isn't just a farmer. She's a weapon that's been dormant for nearly a decade. And tonight, they've just woken her up. Outnumbered and outgunned, Elena transforms her quiet farm into a tactical trap, reactivating every lethal instinct she spent years trying to bury. What begins as a siege turns into a one-woman war. A war that proves when elite CIA training meets a mother's instinct to protect her child, you get the deadliest enemy imaginable. Quick pause before we dive deeper. Where in the world are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments. And if you're hooked already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow's episode will blow your mind. That morning had started like any other. The Texas sun rose slow and golden, spilling color across the sky. Roosters crowed. Elena was already up, moving with the practiced grace of someone used to working before dawn, checking irrigation lines, feeding livestock, her every move calm and deliberate. At 43, she looked every bit the seasoned farmer. Calloused hands, sun-worn skin. But if you looked closer, you'd see the scars, the hardened knuckles, marks of a past no one in Val Verde knew existed. "Mom, where's my biology book?" Maria's voice rang from the porch. 16, sharp as a tack and too curious for her own good. She had her backpack over one shoulder. "Check under the mail pile," Elena called back with a smile. "You left it there yesterday." Moments later, Maria re-emerged, book in hand. "Found it! Consuela's picking me up. We're doing study group and dinner at her place." "Take the main road," Elena said, almost on autopilot, "and call me when you get there." Maria rolled her eyes playfully. "Always the same advice, Mom. Nothing ever happens in Val Verde." She kissed her mother on the cheek and jogged toward the driveway. A beat-up old Buick pulled up. Elena watched as her daughter climbed in and drove off. 8 years. 8 long, quiet years. She had become Elena Ramirez, farmer, mother, nobody, and she had almost started to believe it herself. But old instincts die hard. Back in the barn, she collected eggs with mechanical focus, but her mind drifted. Tonight was security check night. She'd double-check her emergency stashes, make sure the satellite phone still worked, verify her exit plans, just routine, just old habits. Then she heard it, tires crunching on gravel. Elena froze, reaching instinctively for the nearest tool. A pitchfork. Her body knew the drill even if her heart wasn't ready. Through the barn door, she spotted a familiar SUV, Sheriff Hank Wilson. She let her guard down, a little. "Morning, Elena." "Got a minute?" he called as he approached. "Morning, Sheriff. Coffee's fresh if you want some." "Wish I could stay. Just wanted to give you a heads up." Elena poured herself a cup, eyes locked on his. She'd known Wilson since she arrived, kept the relationship friendly, but not too friendly. "What's going on?" she asked calmly. "Border Patrol intercepted a big shipment west of here," he said. "Biggest in years. Cartel Imperio. Drugs, weapons, cash, the works. But that's not why I'm here." He paused. One of the men they caught was asking questions about this area, specifically about farms along this road. A cold pressure tightened in Elena's gut, but her voice stayed steady. "Any idea why?" "Could be nothing," Wilson shrugged. "Could be scouting for a new route. Either way, I've increased patrols, but we're stretched thin. Might be a good time to visit those cousins of yours in San Antonio, if you catch my meaning." Maria's got finals coming up, Elena said without missing a beat. Figured you'd say that. He put his hat back on. Just lock your doors. And call if anything feels off. Elena nodded once. Thanks for the warning, Sheriff. As his vehicle rolled back down the dusty driveway, Elena stood motionless on the porch, her eyes scanning the property with calm precision. Every fence post, every field, every shadow. Tonight, she would no longer be Elena Ramirez. She would be Catherine Walsh again, and God help anyone who came looking for a fight. Perimeter. Her mind instantly snapped back into operative mode, calculations flooding in, angles, exits, contingencies she hadn't needed to run in years. There was no time for hesitation. Inside the kitchen, Elena moved with calm urgency. She pulled open a drawer, removed a hidden panel, and retrieved a 9mm Glock. The weapon felt familiar in her hand. She checked the magazine with flawless efficiency. Fluid, automatic. There was no hesitation, just muscle memory. Her phone buzzed. Maria. Hey, Mom, I'm at Abuela's. We're making enchiladas before studying. Elena smiled softly, forcing her voice to sound relaxed. Good. Enjoy yourself. I love you. Love you too. You okay? You sound weird. Just tired, farm stuff. Study hard. She ended the call and stared at the pistol still resting in her hand. Before she was Elena Ramirez, farmer and mother, she was Agent Catherine Walsh. For 15 years, she had lived in the shadows of national security, executing missions that never made headlines in countries the U.S. pretended not to touch. 3 American presidents had thanked her in private for operations that would stay classified for half a century. Then, everything changed. She found out she was pregnant. Suddenly, the dangers she once embraced became unacceptable. She wanted a life, a real one. For her daughter, the agency didn't like it, but they helped her disappear. New identity, new history, new name. Catherine Walsh became Elena Ramirez. Now that past was knocking at her door. She swept through the house, locking windows, double-checking doors, every movement precise. She texted Maria. Change of plans. After studying, stay at Abuela's tonight. I'll pick you up in the morning. The reply came instantly. Why? What's going on? Elena answered. Nothing serious. Sheriff mentioned some trespassers nearby, just being cautious. But this wasn't about caution. It was instinct. She activated security protocols only someone with counter-terrorism expertise would understand. Motion sensors hidden under fence posts, reinforced doors disguised as rustic design. No one in Valverde had ever realized the farmhouse they helped build was actually a fortress. As night settled in, Elena went out to the barn. Beneath a trapdoor in the floorboards, she retrieved a metal case. Inside, 3 passports, all with different names, but the same face. Bundles of cash in multiple currencies, and a satellite phone that hadn't rung once in 8 years. She stared at it, then closed the case. No call. Not yet. This was probably nothing. Maybe the cartel was just scouting rural properties for transport routes. No reason to think they were looking for her specifically. And then, she heard it. A bird call. 3 short notes. Not natural, and not something that should ever echo across a Texas field after dark. She moved instantly, killing all lights and sliding to a window. In the pale moonlight, she spotted 2 figures creeping along the southern edge of her land. Their movements weren't careless like teenagers trespassing. They were clean, tight, military, scouts. She grabbed her night vision goggles and scanned the rest of the perimeter. 2 more, approaching from the east. Same formation, same spacing, hand signals, coordinated, professional. These weren't smugglers or drug runners. These were trained men, cartel enforcers with combat experience. Elena's stomach turned to ice. They didn't stumble onto this farm. They came for her. Her thoughts accelerated. Surveillance team or advance unit for something bigger? How many more were out there? And then, the sound of engines. Not fast, not reckless, controlled. 3 black SUVs crept up the long driveway, headlights off, tires crunching over gravel in slow motion. They parked in a semicircle, their position perfect for both cover and retreat. From the shadows emerged 12 armed men, and in the middle of them, one man dressed in a sharp, expensive suit. His walk was smooth, casual, confident. Even in the dark, Elena recognized him. Alejandro Vega. She whispered it like a curse, the leader of Cartel Imperio, a name that once echoed through classified briefings and black site missions. She'd never seen him face to face, but she'd dismantled enough of his operations to earn a permanent place on his enemies list. What was he doing here, after all these years? The only answer that made sense chilled her to the core. Someone from her past had betrayed her, sold her out, gave up her location. Vega scanned the property, then spoke softly to the man beside him. His lieutenant gave a quick nod, and 4 men broke off, each heading toward the house from a different angle. Elena's choice was clear. Escape meant leaving the farm. Worse, it meant leaving Maria vulnerable. If Vega was here now, his men would stay until they got what they came for. No, she wasn't running. She would finish this. The first intruder reached her back door and moved to breach, but Elena Ramirez was gone. Catherine Walsh, the CIA's ghost, was back, and the man at her door didn't even see it coming. What hit him, he never saw coming. 1 second, he was quietly approaching the kitchen door, expecting an easy breach. The next, everything went black. By the time he woke up, his radio was gone, his weapon missing, and zip ties cut into his wrists. Elena had moved fast, disabled his comms, restrained him, and vanished back into the house. 1 down, many more to go, and she knew the element of surprise wouldn't last long. Outside, another enforcer raised his radio. "Carlos, status?" Silence. "Carlos, report!" Still nothing. Vega's voice cut through the radio like a blade. "Find him, and find the woman." The tone was different now, angrier, more urgent. Multiple men started advancing toward the house, weapons raised, exactly what Elena had expected. The moment they lost contact with one of their own, they'd accelerate, and in that chaos, they'd start making mistakes. She moved like a shadow, gliding from room to room, navigating every creaking board, every blind spot she had mapped 100 times over. In the next 10 minutes, 3 more cartel enforcers were neutralized, silently, surgically. No noise, no panic, each taken down with chilling efficiency. Outside, Vega grew restless. "We've lost contact with 4 men. His lieutenant looked uneasy. This isn't just some farmer." Vega's eyes narrowed. "No, she knows what she's doing." He raised a hand and issued a new command. Instantly, the remaining men pulled back, regrouping into a tight perimeter around the vehicles. From the 2nd floor, Elena watched them reset. The surprise was gone, but now she knew their numbers, their tactics. She was back in control. Then she checked a confiscated phone from one of the subdued attackers, and what she found stopped her cold. Photos of Maria at school, at the local diner, walking through town. They'd been watching her child. Any shred of hesitation burned away in an instant. This wasn't about her past anymore. It was about her daughter, and that changed everything. She picked up a cartel radio and spoke. "Alejandro Vega, you've lost 4 men in 10 minutes. Want to lose more, or do you want to explain why you're trespassing on my land?" There was a pause. Then Vega's voice came through, calm, amused, cold. "Impressive work, Senora, or should I say, Agent Walsh." The blood in Elena's veins chilled. He knew who she really was. "You have 30 seconds, she replied, "or I keep cutting your numbers." Vega chuckled. "Still so direct. Very well, I'm here because you took something from me. Something you stole 8 years ago." Elena's brows furrowed. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Operation King Snake, Chihuahua, Mexico," Vega said, voice sharpening. "You led the team that destroyed my shipment. You killed my brother. But more importantly, you took something irreplaceable." Her mind flashed back. The firefight, the evacuation. She remembered grabbing encrypted drives from a cartel compound, financial records, intel. It had all gone through proper channels. Or had it? "Not everything made it to your superiors, did it, Agent Walsh?" Vega growled. "A red flash drive, gold serpent logo, family legacy, and now..." You're going to return it to me." Elena's pulse pounded. She remembered that drive. In the chaos of her last mission, she had secured it separately. Then she found out she was pregnant. In the scramble to disappear, it must have stayed hidden in her emergency go-bag, untouched for years. "And if I don't have it?" she asked. Vega's reply was ice cold. "Then this conversation becomes about your daughter instead." That was it. The operative inside Elena shifted. Something deeper took its place. Stronger, more primal. The mother. "You made 2 mistakes today, Vega," she said quietly. "Coming to my home was the first. Threatening my daughter was the second. There won't be a third." She cut the radio. She was done talking. Sheriff Wilson was at least 30 minutes out, and if this turned into a full shootout, local law enforcement wouldn't stand a chance. Maria could be in danger if this wasn't ended tonight. Elena opened a locked crate and pulled out gear she hadn't touched in nearly a decade. Flashbangs, smoke canisters, tactical optics, and a scoped rifle. She counted. 8 men left, plus Vega. They had better numbers. But she had a plan. From her barn, she rigged an old piece of farm equipment with a remote trigger, just enough to make noise, kick up dust, and pull attention. Simple. But if timed right, devastating. "Just like Kandahar," she whispered. "Just like Damascus." She flipped the switch. The clatter of collapsing steel exploded across the far side of the property. Vega's men reacted instantly. Several turned, weapons raised toward the distraction. That's when the smoke hit. Canisters popped. Visibility dropped. And through the haze, Elena moved like a phantom. Silent, focused, lethal. She'd done this before, 100 times. But never with stakes this high, and never with this much to lose. Now positioned behind the cartel's perimeter, Elena held the tactical upper hand. Vega and his men still had their eyes on the farmhouse, completely unaware that the real threat had slipped behind them like smoke in the night. She clicked the cartel radio. "Your security formation has 3 blind spots, Vega," she said, her voice cold and steady. "Sloppy work." Panic erupted. Vega's men spun around, weapons raised, eyes scanning the darkness, but it was already too late. Before they could regroup, 2 of them dropped instantly, tranquilizer darts sinking in with a whisper. They never saw her. Confusion spread. Wild gunfire tore into the night, but none of it came close to hitting her. Through her scope, Elena watched Vega remain composed, murmuring calmly into his phone. "Send in the 2nd team immediately, and call our contact at the border station." That changed everything. A 2nd team. Border contacts? Elena's mind raced. She couldn't afford a drawn-out fight. If reinforcements arrived, especially with help from corrupt officials, she'd lose her window. And worse, they might get to Maria. She abandoned stealth. In a blur of precision and speed, she moved like a storm, efficient, lethal, focused. One by one, she dropped the remaining guards, each strike clean, each step calculated. Within minutes, only Vega remained. She stepped forward, weapon aimed, voice firm. "On your knees, hands behind your head." Vega complied, a smug grin tugging at his lips. "Impressive work, Agent Walsh. Retirement hasn't dulled your edge." "Who told you where to find me?" Elena demanded, zip-tying his wrists. "Information is currency," Vega replied smoothly. "And I'm a businessman." A sound split the air. Thwup, 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 a helicopter. Elena tensed. "Who's in that chopper?" "The 2nd team I mentioned," Vega said casually. "Did you think Cartel Imperio would send just 1 squad for something this important?" She moved quickly, dragging Vega toward the barn, not to hide, but to access her last defense. Beneath the floor lay her final fallback, a reinforced panic room outfitted with communication gear, supplies, and secrets she hoped never to need again. "Why is that drive so important after all these years?" she asked, binding Vega to a steel beam. He didn't answer. So Elena opened a hidden compartment in the floor, a case sealed since the day she left the agency. Inside were survival kits, old credentials, and a collection of encrypted flash drives. Among them, the one Vega wanted, a red drive with a gold serpent. She pocketed it, What's on it? Vega's eyes followed the motion. His voice was calm, but there was something in his gaze now, something hungry. The names of every major cartel informant embedded in U.S. law enforcement, Border Patrol, DEA, FBI, even your former agency. Everything clicked. This wasn't just about secrets. This was about control. If that drive fell into the wrong hands, dozens would die. Years of infiltration, intelligence networks, all burned in an instant. She was staring at a weapon more dangerous than any gun, and holding it made her family a permanent target. Too late for heroics, Agent Walsh, Vega said with a dark smile. Give me the drive and I promise your daughter walks away from this untouched. That did it. Something inside Elena snapped, not with fear, but purpose. 8 years of silence ended in that moment. She powered on the satellite phone, unused for nearly a decade. A soft beep, then a voice. Authentication required. She spoke clearly with steel in her tone. Arctic Monogram 73 Vylon. Agent Catherine Walsh, Priority Omega. A pause, then confirmation. Agent Walsh, you're listed as inactive. Not anymore, she said coldly. I need an extraction team immediately. I have Alejandro Vega in custody, and sensitive intelligence on compromised agents. Hostile forces are converging on my position now. Understood. Nearest unit is 20 minutes out. Can you hold? Elena scanned the barn, her defenses, her reinforced fallback points. Affirmative, but I have a civilian package. My daughter, Maria Ramirez. She's at 1142 Sycamore Street in Valverde with Consuela Diaz. We're dispatching protection immediately. Hold your position, Agent Walsh. Help is coming. She ended the call and turned back to Vega. No more games, no more threats, only rage. You came to my home, you threatened my daughter, that was your final mistake. Vega didn't flinch. You think your agency will welcome you back after what you've done, after 8 years in hiding? After keeping that drive? Elena stared him down. Maybe not, but they'll get the drive, and they'll get you. That's what matters. Then, thud. Men were testing the barn doors. Vega's backup had arrived. She had maybe 5 minutes left. With calm precision, Elena activated the final defense system. Lights shut off, windows sealed with steel shutters, a tactical blackout. They could try to tear the place apart beam by beam, but inside, Catherine Walsh was ready. What Vega's men didn't realize was that Elena's barn wasn't just a barn. It was a fortress. Reinforced walls, bulletproof shutters, concealed traps. The kind of setup you'd expect to see on a military base, not a quiet Texas farm. 20 minutes, Elena told Vega, taking her position behind cover with her weapon ready. That's how long I need to hold. Your men won't get through this in 20. Vega's smug confidence began to crack. What have you done to this place? When you've made as many enemies as I have, Elena replied coolly, you learn to prepare. This entire farm was designed as a hardened defensive site. Your men walked into a war zone. Outside, shouts of confusion erupted as Vega's reinforcements realized the property wasn't what it seemed. As they moved in, hidden defenses activated. Flashbang traps, automated pepper spray, retractable ground barriers. Chaos spread like wildfire. Their precision unraveled with every triggered trap. All these years? Vega murmured, watching the monitors. You were waiting for this. I was praying this day would never come, Elena said, but I prepared for it anyway. Frustrated, the cartel forces began unloading their weapons into the barn. But their bullets were useless against the reinforced steel. All it did was prove how desperate they were becoming. 15 minutes, Elena whispered to herself. Just hold for 15 more. Vega glanced over. You know, once you're reactivated, there's no going back. No farm, no quiet life. They'll never let you disappear again. You'll lose everything you built here. Elena didn't argue. I lost it the moment you found me. Outside, the cartel began a more organized push. They'd located the external control panel for her defenses and were trying to disable it. She radioed in. Be advised. Hostile forces attempting to breach perimeter controls. Integrity compromised. What's the ETA? 12 minutes out, came the reply. Protection team has your daughter. She's safe. Relief washed over Elena like a tidal wave. For the first time tonight, her pulse steadied. Maria was safe. Whatever happened next, she could focus fully on this. Then, boom! An explosion rocked the barn, splinters flying as Vega's men finally breached the outer layer. Elena acted fast, dragging Vega behind additional cover. "Last chance, call them off," she demanded. Vega sneered. "You know I can't do that." The first gunman stormed through the breach. Elena hit her final defense trigger. Thick, tactical smoke flooded the barn's entrance. Vision dropped to 0, unless, of course, you were wearing the specialized mask Elena had just pulled on. They never saw her coming. She moved through the smoke like a ghost, her every strike lethal. There was no room for mercy now. These men weren't just coming for her. They were targeting federal agents, and they had stalked her child. A round grazed her shoulder, burning pain cutting through the adrenaline. But Catherine Walsh had operated through far worse, and under fire in far worse places. She barely flinched. 7 minutes to extraction. That's all she had to hold. Vega, bound and watching her cut down his men one by one, finally spoke. "You're good, Walsh, I'll give you that. But you're one woman. Cartel Imperio spans continents. This doesn't end tonight." "For you, it does," she said coldly. And then, the sound she'd been waiting for. A helicopter. Getting closer. It was landing in the field beyond the property, but so were reinforcements. Elena counted at least a dozen more operatives disembarking. Too many to fight head-on. Even with the barn's defenses, it wouldn't hold against a full-scale, coordinated assault. She needed something else. A diversion. Her eyes scanned the barn until they locked onto something in the corner. Agricultural chemicals. Fertilizers. Tractor fuel. If mixed correctly, she moved fast. "Ever hear what happened in Karachi, 2010? She asked Vega while prepping the compounds. His eyes narrowed. "The embassy attack. That was you. I created a diversion big enough to extract 3 high-value targets. Collapsed half a building, no civilian casualties." She clicked a detonator into place. "And no, I'm not blowing up my barn." She radioed the extraction team. "Initiating protocol Sandstorm. Approach from the north side only. Repeat, north side only." "Copy that, Agent Walsh. Sandstorm acknowledged. 4 minutes out." Elena turned to Vega. "Your men are about to experience something unpleasant. Not lethal, unless they panic. I suggest you tell them to stand down." He studied her for a long moment, then sighed. "Give me the radio." Elena held it to his mouth, weapon still trained on him. "All units," Vega ordered. "Stand down." "Repeat, stand down." As Vega's cartel men lowered their weapons, Elena noticed the approaching helicopter wasn't stopping. "They're not mine," Vega admitted, concern flashing in his eyes. "It's Ramon's team." Ramon, a brutal ex-Colombian Special Forces officer, had evaded capture during Operation Kingsnake. Now he was closing in, leading elite mercenaries who didn't take prisoners. Elena had no choice. She triggered a chemical screen, filling the southern approach with blinding sea-tick smoke. It wasn't lethal, but it would stop Ramon's men. Grabbing Vega, she led him through a hidden tunnel beneath the barn just as her agency's extraction helicopter arrived. A familiar voice greeted her, Marcus, an old teammate. As the tactical team secured the perimeter, Vega warned, "Ramon won't stop. He's been hunting that drive as long as I have." The drive, now in Elena's possession, contained the names of all U.S. informants embedded in cartel operations. But as Vega revealed, it was more than that. It was the key to a shadow intelligence network run by corrupt officials inside multiple U.S. agencies. With her daughter Maria safe and Vega secured, Elena made a tough call: activate Protocol White Raven, a ghost protocol designed for when the agency itself might be compromised. As they fled by helicopter, enemy aircraft gave chase. They dodged missiles and evaded tracking, eventually splitting into 2 teams, Elena with the drive, Marcus with Vega. Their goal? Regroup at a hidden fallback point. After a grueling journey through canyons, evading elite U.S. contractors sent to retrieve the drive, Elena and Gabriella discovered the scale of the betrayal. This wasn't just cartel interference, it was a parallel government. The drive's final encryption layers revealed it all: Operation Sundown, a massive plan to merge cartel logistics with U.S. border control under the guise of national security. Leading it all was acting CIA Director Callahan. Once regrouped, Elena's team initiated a triple disclosure, sending evidence simultaneously to a federal judge, the inspector general, and an investigative journalist. Their coordinated response began to unravel the conspiracy in real time. Raids, resignations, blocked border takeovers. Ramon was captured attempting to flee. Vega agreed to testify. Elena reunited with Maria. Their life on the farm was over, but together they had exposed one of the deepest breaches of American intelligence in history. Catherine Walsh had never truly disappeared. She had simply waited for the moment she was needed most.